Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Clara. I'm the founder of Hope Spring Eternal Introduction Agency and the founder of Ngozi Talk Show. So I have three experts with me today. I'm going to let our experts introduce themselves so they can lay out their professional credentials, expertise. Over to you, Claudia. Please introduce yourself to our audience.
Absolutely. Hello and welcome everyone. My name is Claudia Fischer and I live in the UK, in London, and I'm certified Theta healer. And Theta healing is an energy healing modality. It's been around for approximately 25 years and it's a great tools of self-development where we can tap into the subconscious mind and identify our self-limiting beliefs. And most of the self-limiting beliefs or beliefs as such as well, we get at a very young age, basically between the age from 0 up to 7-8 years, and the mind is still a bit analytical. So it's just like picking everything up from the surroundings and the beliefs. And what happens as well, a lot later on in life, we grow up and we still have certain beliefs within our energetic field, but depending what it is, if you have been brought up with belief in regards to you have to work hard for your money, or rich people are evil, love is dangerous. So you get the idea, depending what the beliefs are inside of you, and you are the adult version of you and you would love to attract the money, the business, and the relationship is just like not really serving you. And this is what we do in Theta healing, identifying the self-limiting beliefs, and then we're able to release them and to change them into new empowering beliefs so that you can go ahead with your life and create the goals and the dreams you would like to have for you.
Thank you so much, Claudia. Over to you, Dr. D. Please introduce yourself to our audience. And we are happy to have you today. It is your first time. Welcome to Ngozi Talk Show.
Absolutely. Thank you, Namsa. And hello, everybody. I'm super excited to be here. I'm Dr. D. Bell Williams, and I am a career educator. I've been in the field of education for 19 years, and I currently am working on my research, which is culture-focused teaching, which focuses on mindfulness in the classroom, as well as behaviors associated with, thought, belief, bringing those things that we want to see manifest by speaking them. And I do that, of course, through my business, Dr. D Unlimited LLC, which encompasses the aspects of transformational leadership styles for those in education, in business, and for those in ministry. I have a background in not only education, but in business and as I work in ministry. And what I found that the core basis of transforming anyone or anything is actually founded upon what we believe about that person or that thing. And so I utilize different techniques, again, like I shared, from mindfulness to affirmations, so that we can break invisible barriers in our lives and we can be unlimited in all that we achieve and all that we aim to do. And we do this by transforming the minds of individuals that we encounter. In my case, that would be educators, school leaders, parents, and those that operate in the community. And so those are some of the things that I do and how I have pretty much packaged my 19-year career in education and have written books about it. I'm an Amazon bestselling author and award-winning author. I'm currently residing in the southern part of the United States of America. So I'm from South Carolina. That's the state that I'm from. And so I'm super excited to be here today, and I'm super excited to share and be on this platform to not only share, but also learn from the amazing guests here on today. So again, greetings to everyone watching, and I'm super excited to be here.
Thank you so much, Dee. Over to you, Amanda. Please introduce yourself to our audience.
Hi, it's so interesting listening to the first two speakers because I never have shared that I also am an energy healer. I have a Reiki master's. So I have energy healing as well in my background. I'm the founder of Art, Mindfulness, and Creativity. I've written 8 children's books. I'm also a teacher, and I write children's books, and I write for 2 different magazines as well. Nomza, I can't hear you.
Sorry. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, ladies. So our topic today is top 3 mistakes you are making in a relationship. Who chose the topic, by the way? I'm looking for the person who chose the topic.
Me.
Please take the stage. Could you please explain to us what does this topic mean to you and why you chose the topic, and so that other speakers can back you up, please?
Sure, absolutely. I attract loads of clients, and they would love to work in regards to their relationship blocks. And these are actually a few mistakes I picked up over and over again. Obviously, there are so many mistakes we can do, but just like a few of the top ones, and basically as well. So here's my take of them as well. First of all, as well, most of us, we forget how to be it all in a relationship. Usually we are familiar in regards to I can have it all. Obviously, this is quite familiar as well to us at this stage, but on some level, the woman might think if I become super successful, I can't be sexy at the same time. So they try to go into this, what I have found with my clients, into the role, trying to be Superwoman or Wonder Woman. And then actually, but there are so many prototypes of this Wonder Woman as well out there. And then actually, Wonder Woman is boring, turns out to be, because the man then just like is bored by it as well, by all this proving energy from the woman's side. So he just gets bored eventually as well. And then as well, I have heard and found as well that real attraction and a deep relationship is being created by something which is called unique pairing. Basically, you take 2 aspects of you and they can be opposite. For example, yes, you can be smart and sexy at the same time, or you can be naughty and the nice version of you, or you can be the beauty and the brain. So basically, that you be it all. I mean, like that you be all the aspects of yourself and you embrace your uniqueness. And this is what makes you sexy and unique, and the other side, the partner can feel it as well. And this is as well something which makes you interesting, and as well you stick out from the others as well. So this was one mistake. The second one is basically as well, we forget sometimes to tell our partner that we are impressed by them. We are so in this norm of the comfort zone of the relationship or of the marriage, and we just forget about it, but they need this to hear as well from us. So, and by telling them that we are impressed by them, I don't mean to let them know that that we like their money or their success, not the final outcome of their role and the qualities. Rather, I'm thinking in regards to that you like their passion or their dedication or their strength. So you get the idea. This is a bit more deeper rather than just the superficial level where you tell them, I like your career and your success. So this is as well like how you let them know, I see you. And obviously, every man would love this as well, the feeling as well, to be seen. And we forget this as well sometimes. And the third thing I have found within the relationship, but as well at the beginning of the dating as well, we forget how to flirt. And sometimes as well, we might think if I flirt, I must be a slut. Okay, so we could shut down and be like all serious, and then the other party, as the man, might think or perceive us as well as being closed or reserved. So we have this barrier as well between us and between them, which is not the case. It is just like we just think like it's not appropriate to flirt. And you can do this in your marriage, in the relationship, but as well at the beginning. And by flirting, in this case, I mean as well, just show the other that you like them. Basically, as well, like this, you open the door and you have enough self-confidence and self-esteem as well that you can express your interest to the men out there, and then it's up to them what they choose. It's okay as well if they don't take the offer, because we are good with ourselves and we have our life, and in the end as well, it's their loss. So these were like three, I don't know, like things which come up over and over again.
So much. Thank you so much, Claudia. I'm going to come to you, Amanda. So do you have your own opinion that you want to add, or would you like to comment on what Claudia just said, please?
About relationships? Well, because I've been through a very unhealthy divorce and unhealthy marriage, I think that for me, relationship really has to come from yourself first. And so finding out who you are and what you want, and also being at peace with yourself, and finding out, learning about different things about you. So for example, I just read a book called Attached, and it was about the different attachment styles that people have. And so for me, that was a big eye-opening, because there's 3 different types of attachment. One is secure, one is insecure, and one is avoidant. And so learning that was really good to learn about myself and how I attach to people and how I project myself out into the world. And I think sometimes too, when people get into relationships, they lose themselves, and then that's when the relationship starts to fall apart, because you become completely infatuated with somebody, and then when you don't honor who you are, and you sweep who you are under the carpet, those problems start to creep up later on. And so there's this like delicate balance that you have to have in a relationship, where you are learning to be together, but also still honoring who you were before you met that person. I think too, in relationship, it really is about making sure that you have good communication, and that you're constantly communicating what your needs are, and also positive affirmations about your relationship. So like she said, continuing to flirt even in your marriage, or continuing to have date nights even in your marriage. My aunt got divorced and remarried when she was 50, and they go on date night every week, no matter what. And even through the pandemic, they like make sure that they have their date night every single week. Thursdays is date night. And so I think like even into her she's 70 now, and so even into her 70s, they still go on date night every single Thursday. And I think that's so important, especially when you have children and busy lives, is to set aside some time where you just get to spend time with your partner. But I think relationship ties into more than just your relationship with your significant other, because relationship also ties into relationship with family members and with friends. And it's really important that you learn how to be yourself in all of those relationships, not just in romantic partners. And so setting clear boundaries when people are not treating you the way that you want to be treated in all relationships is really important. And yeah, I think that's all I have to say for now.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. I'm not going to comment until you all have said what you want to say. Over to you, Dr. D, please.
Well, everything that's been said so far just really matches perfect with some of my thoughts, right? I'm gonna walk my way backwards because I believe Amanda, who spoke before me, shared exactly what I was thinking. When I saw this topic, of course, we think romantically when we think relationships, but immediately I also began to think about all types of relationships, friendships, familial relationships, relationships with family, working relationships, business relationships, just relationships, period. And with that being said, all that's been shared affects all of those different paradigms, right? So the first thing that came up where it relates to concerns regarding relationships was unspoken expectations. So a lot of times we go into relationships and whether it's romantic, and there's an attraction that's obvious, and there's a discussion, and we're dating or we're married at this point. And we sometimes, and I think it's just a human glitch at times, where we believe that the person that we're with is just supposed to understand everything about us, understand our desires, understand our needs, when they have not been articulated. And so that's very important to realize that if you want something, it's important to be very clear about what that is. And so unspoken expectations can wreak havoc on a relationship. And when we're in that dating phase and we're just enamored with that person, or we're, just infatuated and we just love everything about them, sometimes we turn off that signal that goes off in us that says, hey, you may want to ask this question as it relates to, is this something that you're going to be able to really live through in the long haul? I watched, Nomsa, one of your YouTube videos, and you were giving your example about your experience in your relationships, in your first marriage, and what you did going into the second relationship. And you talked about doing interviews. And I thought that was so impactful because it goes back again to having specific expectations that you have shared in this type of interview process. And it doesn't have to be anything like stringent or where you're being interrogating, but it's a just conversational style where you begin to realize, will this relationship actually meet the desires that I have as a person? And then, so that's one of those things. So, because you don't want to go into it, I just love this person. And then you're in it and you're like, well, I thought that they were going to meet this desire, and you did not articulate that. So it's very important to do that. Also, identity clash. And I think that the first young lady, and I apologize if I don't remember your name, she spoke about, growing. Like, you may be at one place in your life, and as you grow in that relationship, you find that you're not that person that you were 2 years ago or 6 months ago, because you've gone through this radical transformation. So now there's this identity clash in the relationship because the person that connected with you is now seeing someone different, because you may not have taken the time to really grow in your own identity of who you were in totality. And we never really reached that full place of totality, because, from a spiritual perspective, I believe once we do, we're no longer needed in the earth, right? So like once we reach that full availing of who we are and what we're meant to do, but we're always growing. And there should be an awareness of what we've been purposed to do. And that is developed through growth and learning. And so in relationships, sometimes that can be a big surprise when you wake up 10 years later and you're like, why did I marry this person? Like, oh my God, like, I'm someone different. I've grown and evolved, and we're just not the same. And so those are concerns as well, that you can find in relationships. And I myself, I've been married, I've been divorced. I'm currently married, now, and we are at a place where we're trying to decide, will this actually work moving forward? Because we're just two different people than we were when we met. We were on different paths. Well, I actually am on the same path. But, my spouse at the time is currently trying to decide if, where he is in his life right now is where he wants to be, or if he wants to sort of shift directions, which somewhat clashes with where I am. So that's why I can talk about that identity clash, because I'm seeing it unfold in my current, relationship, where the person that I married, it's totally different. And sometimes it's different in a good way, especially when people mature and, are really becoming, one with themselves. But sometimes it can be, wait, I didn't sign up for this. And so it's kind of one of those things. And the final thing that I will talk about is what I shared in the beginning, is these multi-dimensional relationships. And I find that when you observe someone in their romantic relationship, like marriage or dating, those same concerns tend to be an issue in other relationships. You find someone who struggle with friendships or struggle with their family. Sometimes there's an issue in the marriage and the relationship because there are things that haven't been dealt with that are really spilling over into, various parts of those relationships. And that's why I think that what we're all saying here today, that it's important to understand self as much as possible, so that when you enter into any type of relationship, you're really able to articulate what the expectations are in those relationships, romantically, friendships, family, because you have to set boundaries for family as well. You have to explain to them what you need. When you were a child in your parents' household, you needed something different than being a grown adult from your parent. So there's so many different things that we have to consider, and so important to really, really learn self in this process. So those are my top 3 concerns, and I'm excited to talk more about it.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, ladies. I like the way you guys actually, speaking the different problems that people face in relationships, which is they are all valuable information, because when you do meet somebody, you've got to do some interview. But some people seems to think that when you're doing an interview, you actually interviewing them like applying for jobs. You can be playful. You can hold someone's hands and say, listen, baby, they're not your baby, but that's who you are. You have to know your identity. Like when you spoke about identity, do I have a feedback? Do I? You have to talk about, is it coming out again?
Yeah, I think we all need to make sure we're muted. And
are
only
you guys muted? I think that's why you have the feedback. Yeah, that was the reason. Yeah, so you have to ask questions. There are some difference in relationship that can save the relationship. Like myself, there are so many things that I like, and my spouse doesn't like those things, but he supports me. There are so many things that he likes. So when he does what he does, we come home, we have something to talk about. I love sports, and I don't think he want to be near me. I did go with my ex to watch wrestling. When you're watching wrestling, everyone is going boom, 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 boom. You're all making noise. Basically, you have to go crazy because that's what you love. So my ex, he was like, what the hell is going on? But when he came out, he was like, that was the best evening I have ever been, just seeing people going crazy. And that's what people do. When you see football supporters, when I go and watch football, I do the same. I just change completely. I'm screaming. I'm like, you go, 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 go. Because that's what people used to do when I used to play football. So that's what I like. So, but it doesn't mean my man has to come with me if he doesn't want to. But when I was playing, it was a must. My family has to be there and support me because they are part of my family. But then when you talk about sometimes you grow. So I don't know, some people when they grow, I've grown a lot, but I've not changed. I don't know how people grow in relationships. I've grown a lot. Honestly, if I look at myself 10 years ago and when I met my man, I've grown a lot. I'm completely different, but I still I think there is part of me that have learned a lesson about life, that there are things that I used to take for granted. I used to think a relationship is all about changing clothes. When things didn't work out, I'm out. Like you were talking about attachment the other day. So that was the problem that I had, that when I look at identity, yes, if there is no problems, so I'll pick on small things and I'm like, we are different. I don't want to be here. This is not what I've signed for. But now I'm starting to, because you get into personal development and then you are a coach, but there are some different that can destroy you inside, even if you are a coach, if you are dating the wrong person. So I agree with you guys, and the expectations. And Claudia spoke about the flat people. You need to flat when you are in a relationship or when you're meeting somebody. But unfortunately, you know what, people, when they meet on a date, they worry about, am I good enough? Is he gonna like me? Is he gonna this? Is gonna mind start googling things that don't exist. The good times. What about thinking about good times? My goodness. Because before you meet that person, they showed you their picture and you agree, you're like, I want to go out. Even if you're not going to like the person or you think there's nothing in common, but you have to practice to have fun. Is practicing it to have fun. It's like when I meet Amanda, I have to practice to get to know Amanda. What makes Amanda cry? This I have to practice to make Claudia happy. It's like, it's natural. It's that relationship our old generation had with the everybody else that we take for granted. And this is the problem. Mobile phones. The communication is no longer there, because when a spouse comes from work, like, hi, baby. Okay, hold on. My friend has just posted something really, really good. I want to see this. Oh, would you like to come and see this? Just get rid of this. Honestly, just get rid of it. When you're at home or with your children, just put it on the side. I got to a point where somebody rings. I look at the phone and I'm like, okay, I can answer it later. So I think it's very, very important. And Amanda spoke about, we lose ourselves. Don't lose yourself in a relationship. It's very, very important to actually know who you are as a person. You are not there to lose yourself. Take me as I am. For me, I'm crazy. Like, I dance when the music plays. I just go and say, go girl, you go girl, and I'm making some noise and everyone goes, okay, she's fine. When I'm doing that, my family knows I'm happy. So that is me. Or sometimes when I'm watching something, I'm watching sports, I just scream, because that is me. Basically, you can't lose yourself. You have to keep your identity. If your identity is for you to be playful, to be this, just keep that identity. You don't have to put on personality either. Just be you. I think you guys have some, I don't know. I'm going to give it to Claudia, if you have anything that you need to add. I need to see if you have any questions. Is there anything you want to add, or do you want me to give you a question?
No, it's okay. Just like something as well in regards to relationships. Obviously, the outside person is always a mirror to us. Yeah. So, yeah. And if we don't like something, what we are seeing in them, it's always good as well to reflect within inside ourselves and just to see why am I feeling triggered right now in regards to what's going on, what is it teaching me as well right now. Yeah. So everyone outside is a mirror of us. Yeah.
May I add something, Nonsa, as well? You're on mute.
I don't have to ask. When other speakers finish, you can just, hi, Brenda. Brenda says, hello, ladies.
Hi, Brenda.
Hi.
Sure. So you said something that stood out to me, Nonsa, when you talked about, and I think that's something that needs to be massaged, when you talk about you can grow, but still be yourself. And I just had this discussion in a seminar that I was a part of on Sunday, and we are utilizing John Maxwell's 15 infallible laws of growth. And one of the things that he talked about in that book, which I thought was so phenomenal, is that you can change without growth, but you cannot grow without change. And so a lot of times what we see in relationships is people change, but there's no growth. And so it's important to really be able to identify when that's happening within self, and also when it's happening in conjunction with the person that you're in a relationship with, and making the determination, and again, articulating the expectations that you have, because it is expected that we will change and grow. Change is a natural part of the human process. We will get older, hopefully wiser, we'll make different decisions, things of that nature. But the growth aspect is, how are you evolving to become a better version of yourself so that you can make life a better place for you as an individual, and also for those that you are in relationship with. So being able to make a determination and have the conversation about, are we just changing in this relationship, or are we growing as a result of that change? And so that I just wanted to kind of really dig into that, because I thought that was an amazing piece that you shared, because you can grow but still be witty and funny and all of those different things that you are, because that's how you're made. And you shouldn't feel boxed in any type of relationship from being yourself, even as you evolve. And so for those that are listening, just wanted to kind of, share that nugget of wisdom there, so that you can determine what's happening in and around you.
Can I just say something as well?
Of course.
Just add something, yeah. In regards to my clients who are attracting their soulmate, so I let them know as well to write down the qualities, how they would like to feel being with them. And then one important thing is as well to write down that they wish to grow together, so that they still stay together in so and so many years, because they attracted this as well. Someone with whom they can grow together.
Hala says, I think it is important to nurture your individual first and continuously. That is a way to allow yourself not to be overshadowed and dissolved into the union, to avoid the feelings consumed and the sense of having lost yourself. That is a good point as well. It is a good point. Anyone wants to add on that point that she's making, please? Amanda, would you like to add? Can't hear you. Can't hear you. Oh, yeah. Still can't hear you. Anyone? Do you want to speak?
I can add while she's trying to figure it out, because she's trying to make sure she gets back on speaking. So one of the things that just came to my mind as well is, and I don't know if this was a topic. It seemed like I saw this before as being a topic on the show, or may possibly be a topic on the show, but it merges into relationships. I think it's important. What the person said about nurturing your own identity first and making sure that you don't get lost in any relationship. I think it's important to always assess our mental health as well when it comes to relationships. It's so important to know what we're feeling and why we're feeling that way, and that we're not projecting these concerns, these issues, these different things that we may have onto the person that we're in relationship with, or into the atmosphere, so that we're not reaping what we're speaking. Because I believe in affirmations. I believe in you receive what you say. And so it's important to assess that and sit with it, analyze it, and if need be, speak with a therapist or a trusted person, a coach, or someone in your environment that you trust to do that. I know we're all familiar with marital counseling, premarital counseling, different things of that nature. But what I've found is it's helpful to also do refresher counseling, like when you are in marriages or when you're in relationships and you just need that medium, that person to just kind of mediate between what's happening in the relationship and also to help you balance what's happening mentally, physically, and spiritually, because it's all happening at the same time. And we're a result and we speak out of that place. And so just wanted to share that. It's so important because when we do feel lost or when we feel like our identity is gone, it can wreak havoc on us mentally and emotionally in relationships. And that's where we operate from, that place of chaos when we don't have balance in that area. So just kind of wanted to share that because mental health is so important. And, especially now, I mean, we have all just experienced a global pandemic and, relationships have been tested. There's so many different things that have been tested during this time. And our mental health it's what keeps us together, having a strong mind and having a strong belief system is what's helped a lot of us maintain during this process. And when you're in chaos in relationships, or if you're in troubled waters in relationships, it can begin to tamper with, your mental health. And again, that's the one piece that we have that keeps us above water when we're dealing with outside influences that could really, affect our relationships. So I really think that's an important tool to take away from this, is definitely making sure that you assess your mental health within any relationship that you're involved in.
Thank you so much. Amanda, you free to talk? I still can't hear you.
Yeah.
Yeah, you okay?
Nomsa, are you able to unmute her? Is it possible, since you're the host, to unmute her?
Not here.
Okay.
I think I agree with you, Claudia, when it comes to mental health problems. It is very, very important because we tend to look at other things. We leave mental health because there's like during the pandemic, 1 minute you're not used to have your spouse 24/7 in the house, so you all have children and the people haven't got children, and it's just been it's a nightmare for me. I'm lucky because basically nothing changed in our house apart from doing homeschooling. Their dad has been working right through because he's into the building. The company builds the big shopping centers, and they've not stopped working. They've been working, the builders. So it has been good for me because he goes to work. So nothing changed for us. But for those people, there are so many people that relationships have been tested. I agree with you, due to mental health problems, because people, when they look at the situation different, that you're here. But for me, I think I would have been really, really grateful to look at my spouse when the news is saying there's 100 people who have died every day. I think that would have given me strength to say, you're here, and I want to have strength to fight that person. Or I just go upstairs and do my work on my own, give that person space. It's very, very important as well to know that we are all human. We are not used to, like humans, we go out, we go to work with somebody else to go and do these things, and we meet halfway, or we go and do activities together, but over the weekends, but in the evenings, we spend time together, but during the day, everyone is at work. It's been a year. Can you imagine? how many people we have gone through challenges. It's been a year, people stuck together at home. So anyone wants to, like, Claudia, would you like to? Amanda, you back?
I think so.
Yes, you are.
Would you like to comment before Amanda Claudia takes over, please?
Um, well, I just wanted to comment on that knowing yourself and the individuality part, because I commented on that at the start. And I think you really need to, and you grow and change constantly. I think that in each relationship, whether it's a friendship or a work relationship or a romantic relationship or a coworker, you learn something from everybody. And so, for every relationship that you've ever been in, instead of looking at it as that was a failure, look at it as what did I learn from that situation? How did that relationship help me grow? How did that relationship help me become a better version of myself? And when you start to do that, when you look at relationships, it helps you to grow and become a more open and empowered person into the next relationship that you go into. So even when you look at coworker relationships and you look at if it was not a very good one, or even if it was a good one, how did it make me grow? And then even how can that transfer into romantic partnerships or into family relationships? Because when you look at everything from a place as what can I learn from this situation and how will that help me move forward? I think that's so important, because you can have relationships, failed relationship after failed relationship, which is okay. It's not, I don't believe that there's one person for everyone and you're meant to be with them for your entire life, even though sometimes that happens and that works for people. But there are people who go through different relationships and they learn something from each and every one of them. And every failed relationship that I've had, I send out so much gratitude to them, saying like, thank you so much, because I learned so much about myself.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Amanda. Claudia, please. Would you
Yeah,
like
absolutely. So beautiful as well, Amanda. Absolutely, because what did I just want to say? I lost it. Because we learn from everyone. I just lost it. Okay, to the next. In the end as well, we are beings of love, and we are here to experience love in all the facets as well. You know, the love to the parent, to the child, to the relationship, to the husband, to the pet as well. So this is why we are here, to experience love.
so much, Claudia? Claudia D, any comment before I give you guys another question?
No, I'm just receiving what is being said, because what both Amanda and Claudia said it was so beautifully stated, and I think that people need to hear that. I needed to hear that the way that it was stated, because a lot of times, and I can speak from a cultural perspective because that's the work that I do. A lot of times you find yourselves following norms, air quotes, that don't necessarily fit with the pattern, that your life has taken. And it's okay to have different experiences, and whether good or bad, but be able to walk away from it and say, what have I learned? Because to me, that's the catalyst to evolution, is what have I learned through this process. Every facet of nature in its most beautiful form is processed through some type of chaotic experience. And so it's important to understand that it's a part of the process, and it's okay. If you haven't found that one, or if you have been through different marriages or different relationships, that it's okay to take a look at those experiences and say, what have I learned, and how have I grown, and how can I become better? And so it's just such a warm spirit that I feel both from Claudia and Amanda regarding what they've said. And I just wanted to amplify that for those that are listening. And that's all I have to say.
And I just remembered actually as well what I wanted to say earlier in regards to Remenda and Dr. D as well. Absolutely. And yes, we can take the shorter relationships in between to graduate into the next one and to take the learnings, hopefully as well into the next one. And they can be short as absolutely okay until we find the one.
Ladies, so the question I have is, how do we stop fighting about everything in relationships? Because, you know, when I'm saying this, I'm thinking about my father-in-law. I was looking at him. We were at the doctors, and he was telling the doctors how he's feeling. He said, "I'm feeling down. It's like about everything in life." So I'm thinking, in relationships, people fight about everything. So how do we stop that? So how can you actually be aware and stop it?
I think you have to look at, because fighting is not necessarily unhealthy. Having disagreements can be a healthy way to discuss things, but it is how you fight and argue that becomes unhealthy. So if it is a toxic way to argue, then it will be an unhealthy relationship. And if there is sometimes you just need to step away and set a boundary. And so in family relationships or in coworker relationships where you have to just limit the amount of time that you spend with those people or that person, in order to take care of yourself first and to know, and sometimes you can't, like in a coworker relationship, you may not be able to step away from that relationship as much as you'd like to, but you definitely can change your mindset. So the only thing you have control over is your own mindset. And in order to stop fighting, you have to think about what is that you are doing to contribute to that situation. And two, if you're continuously contributing to that situation, what is it that you need to change? Because when you change the way that you're behaving, that's when things are going to change, right? Because you can't change somebody else's behavior.
Okay, Amanda, that was so powerful. We can't change other people's views and how they basically, like for me, myself, I don't know how to fight. I see people when I'm talking to them, they're like, he didn't take the trash out, and I'm really, really upset. I'm like, seriously? I know to them it's a big problem, and then I'm like, seriously, someone is laying, if you think that way, that someone is laying in a hospital, being told a life-changing situation, or somebody's been hit by a car, and I'm mourning about these small problems, then you can be grateful and have a loving and fulfilling relationship. But you can fight. It's fine to fight in a relationship, but there are some things that are not worth fighting sometimes, because they are like every day. I don't think anyone, since we've been living in this house, I don't think these kids and their father have ever took the trash out, honestly. It's because it has to be out in the evening, so before he comes from work, so I always just push it outside and while the kids, so I don't remember them taking the trash out. But because I work on myself, there are small things that I'm like, okay, I just get on with it. And I know that if I take the trash out, I know that I'm gonna sit down and request it to have a drink, and I say, please, may I please have a drink? So everyone is doing the work. So if you look at that way, and also, you know, like women, men are very easy to make them work. I don't know if you guys have done this, where if you admire them very often, and you want them to do things, you admire them very often, they feel worthy. They'll ask you, what would you like me to do? Actually, I've never ever used to do that. Admire somebody for real, but not just pretending because you want something. Just being grateful to them and say, I'm grateful for this, I'm grateful for this, and just being here. Because sometimes we fight, like before I got into personal development, I used to fight with my ex. The fight was about the things that happened maybe a month ago. It will be things that happened in the past because they are still inside my chest. So now that you express, if you learn to express yourself, then you can avoid fights as well. It does help. If you leave everything, if you say everything that is in your heart that you are unhappy about in a good way, it avoids fights actually. I don't know if anyone agrees with me.
Yeah, I was gonna say, you kind of took it back to my original point. Those unspoken expectations. Like you have to articulate what you need, what you desire, and what you're requesting, because that can help alleviate some of those heated discussions. And then also remembering your why is a very strong component of ceasing some of that fighting, especially if it's, I mean, whether it's toxic or not. If it's toxic, that we take, that's a whole different type of discussion, right? Because like Amanda said, that heated discussions, heated debates are healthy, because we have to have differing perspectives. It's what makes us different. It's when it becomes toxic, unbearable. You feel degraded, like the person is not, is speaking down to you or things of that nature, is when we need to reevaluate, how we move forward. Because again, our mental health is so important. And, after so much fighting, it's like chipping, at a rock. Soon is not going to be anything left, so we have to make sure that we remember why are we together? Why are we in this relationship? And then go back to that and then work our way back to what were we discussing again? And sometimes you'll find that it wasn't even worth the hour we spent talking about this particular situation, because it, in the great scheme of our relationship, it really doesn't matter. Like we can get over that. And so that's one of the things. And also it's important to pick your battles. I think that's so important. Like pick your battles, pick the timing of your battles. Like you said, if someone, just received some disappointing news about their job or about their family member, it's not the time to talk about why you didn't take out the trash. It's like, it's not the time. So, really thinking through what's best for the environment, not just what's best for us, because here's the caveat. There's a thin line, and it's really, really thin, between making sure that we remain true to ourselves and being selfish. So it's a thin line there that we have to make sure that we are thinking about the other person as well in the midst of what's being discussed or what's going on or what needs to be discussed. And then at the end of the day, to calm down some of the arguments or to cease or whatever. I think a lot of arguments are based on decision making. Just make a decision, and we'll get to some of the other stuff later. I've seen couples argue because one couldn't figure out what they wanted for dinner. Just make a decision. And we can move forward. And I guess because I speak from that side, because I've been on both sides, where you're just so in love and you're just so caught in the clouds. Like, I don't know, whatever you want to eat. Well, I don't know, whatever you want to eat. No. And you're like, make a decision. And I'm very decisive. That's natural. It's a natural course for me. Like once I've thought about it, once I process it, a decision is going to be made. So it's like, make a decision, because it alleviates the back and forth. So those are just some things that you can use. Like, make sure you speak your expectations, articulate your expectation, choose your battles, and then, make a decision and decide what's important.
Yes, absolutely. I would like to add something to every one of you in regards to Dr. D as well. It's expectations as well, and just like agree as well that you have a quality time, and just think as well why you are together at the very first a place, and just to see as well if it's really important at this stage to put all the energy and the and the talk as well into the discussion. And to you, Namsa, as well, you did say something in regards to the man. Just ask him as well to help you a bit out in the household as well. And that's true because the man likes to feel useful and meaningful. And if you ask him, obviously he would come around as well and to say yes and so on. And in regards to Amanda, there was something as well. Yeah, okay, sure. Yes, absolutely. Forget to change the other person because think how difficult it is for us to change. Yeah, why? It's just like impossible as well to change the other. Yeah, just not impossible. And something as well from my side, I work sometimes with couples. If something is really coming up over and over again, then I would do belief work on both of them. So in regards to belief work, just to identify the cause which is coming up over and over again, and to see if they actually are on the same level in regards to their beliefs of this certain topic or matter. So when you can have them both aligned, it can actually as well flow again afterwards. It's possible.
It is possible if both parties want the relationship works. Yeah, it is possible. So before we go, Amanda, is there any words of encouragement you would like to leave with our audience? Please hold on. Words of encouragement based on one thing. Based on trying to change the other person, please.
Based on trying to change that, you can't change. It's the same with people with addictions. You can lead a horse to water, but they decide if they're going to drink or not. And so you really have to just be there to support people. But if they choose not to change, then there's nothing then you can do. I think that the most important thing to always ask yourself is what can I learn from this situation? And is this situation a positive situation for me to be in? And if it's not, then you have to change something about what you're doing.
Thank you so much. Dr. D, based on those people who are being jealous or suspicious in relationships, words of encouragement, please, because that destroys the relationships.
Wow. That to me goes all the way back to self. Because usually jealousies and suspicions come from a place of insecurity within ourselves. And that's why, going back to the top of the conversation, it is so important to nurture your own identity so that you understand your value, you understand how you desire to live in a relationship, in any type of relationship, because I've actually seen this play out in friendships. People jealous or insecure when their friends have other friends and so on and so forth, or just being very transparent. I've seen it in my family where siblings were jealous because the one got married and so they spent more time with the spouse, and you just all these relational breakdowns because of jealousies and things of that nature. And again, it has to go back to self. Why are you jealous? Why do you feel this way? We have to resolve the emotions that make us respond, right? A certain way. So, and that comes through being honest with ourselves. And that honestly takes training, because we've been so wired to lie to ourselves a lot. I don't feel that. Or, I deserve to feel this way. I should be jealous, or I should react this way. So we go through these, and then especially if we are enamored with the way things are happening on television or in our world, and we adopt all these different things, and, we spend this time in inauthenticity. And so we adopt the emotions of inauthenticity. And so we create this whole different persona that has nothing to do with who we are and how we should be. And so, like, that's why I said it takes practice to be honest with ourselves, because the world teaches us, a different way. And so I think that's important, again, to resolve, who you are, nurture your own identity, be in relationships where you feel valued. Because a lot of times that jealousy and all of these other things come from the fact that you may see something in that person, that boyfriend, that husband, that friend, that they're giving to someone else that you feel like you should be getting. And again, make sure that's been articulated. And then number two, if that is something that is a constant and you really feel like it's something you need in a relationship to feel validated. And, sometimes people hear validation and they think that is a curse word. Like, but everybody needs validation. I mean, that's why you're in the relationship to, you know what I'm saying? To, get that affirmation from that person that you are the love of their life and they will do anything for you. Is, those words of uplifting or, whatever your love language might be, right? Those are things that you look for, you expect. And so if you feel like you're not getting that in a relationship, then you need to evaluate that relationship. And if that's a relationship that you should be in, because you shouldn't be in a relationship where you're jealous 24/7. That's just not healthy. And it can come from, again, a lack of being authentic and having issues within self, or you could be in a relationship where you're not getting what you have expressed that you need. And therefore it's causing jealousies and different things to happen, in your psyche, in your mind, in your heart. And so you have to evaluate what's happening. There. And I did, if time permitted, there was something that I just want to plug a quick nugget in here, known sub, because I just want people to think about it, even if we don't have time to discuss it. But when you talked about like men, dealing with, I think we were talking about discussions and arguments and different things of that nature. And you said about men, when you tell them that they've done something well and affirming them and different things of that nature. And we know that that's a thing that we see across the board normally with men, but we also have to take into consideration how people were raised. And what I've experienced too is men who have been raised primarily by their mom tend to have the desires need to be met from a feminine perspective. Whereas a lot of times if the dad was more involved, then you get more of that men who need that affirmation, whereas some men need to be coddled if they were raised by their mother. So you have to look at those different psychological plays on how men and women, and I spoke about men because we talked about men, but it goes for both men and women, how the parenting aspect, really helps, or really is the catalyst that helps a person navigate relationships. And so I just kind of wanted to share that, and we can kind of dig into that at a later point, but I thought that was important to share as well, because it's not one size fit all for any gender. It kind of depends on the psychological upbringing and some of those experiences as well.
Mm.
Thank you so much. I think we should talk about relationships very often. I think every week is very, very important, because that is the main problem in every person's life. Claudia, anything you would like, words of encouragement based on communications, please, or you want to comment what Dr. D has just said? Up to you.
Yeah, actually as well, Dr. D as well, in regards to if there are like situations in your relationship and he makes you jealous over and over again, as well as just like life is too short to compromise and we deserve the best.
So much. Thank you so much. For me, I'm going to leave my audience with what Dr. D just said. Being jealousy of your spouse and being jealousy of other people's relationships. I think I went to that phase, like I'm single, I'm looking at people, they're married, they are in a relationship. Then I was like, something is not right. That's when I was like, no. And then I've realized that moment that I'm comparing my life to somebody else. My book of life. What does my I'm wanting someone else's life that I haven't got a clue whether is it rosy or is it messed up. So now I tend to use prayer. I say, God, please, I just want what is written in my book of life. Because in life, we are meant to go through challenges in life. When you are going through challenges, that moment, don't look at your friends or look at your spouse and think they are having an affair with somebody else while they are not. You have to focus on that problems. I don't know people's beliefs. If your belief is meditation, go and meditate. Go speak to a coach. That's why we have good coaches. There are good coaches around the world. If you are lucky to search through and find one, go to the talk show. And prayer, go and pray about it. Like for me, I smash the books, I pray about it, I invite God. I at my table, if you can hear the things that are happens, I don't have time to be jealous anymore, because I know that if I look at what I see on social media, what if it's not real? Because I see my life. When I take pictures, like I put them on social media, I have like 300 likes, people comment. But people have no clue what I had to go through, asking my nanny to take that picture. Sometimes he moans, he complains, he says this, he says this. By the time I take this stunning picture, he has gone through sweat, the poor man and my children. So I intended to look at my life. I'm like, I'm not going to look at somebody else's life and say, why me? I just say, God, give me my life. What is meant for me. So thank you so much for all that. And you girls promise to go on the sheet and put your names, the three of you, because you guys work really well. And let's do another topic, relationships. Thank you so much. Thank you so much to everyone who is watching. Live with grace, everyone, and God bless you. See you tomorrow on Ghosty Talk Show.
Bye-bye.
Bye.